Hi there, everybody. My name is Kate. Welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. As it's been happening the last few times, this is a weekend, all of a sudden start talking. Spirit waits for no one, and I don't either. So when messages come in, I like to pass them on right away. So what's going on in the world? We see an uptick, a lot of very kooky, crazy. I mean, I thought we'd already seen some pretty weird stuff, yet we're starting to really start to see even more the breakdown, shakedown, and absolute cracking apart of foundations. The weather's out there, earthquakes in places that they don't normally happen, major weather systems happening in places that don't normally receive that kind of rain, flooding, fires. I mean, we've got stuff around the world that's happening, and I'm not into fear-mongering. I'm not into, prophetic doom. I'm not into any of that bullshit, because that's exactly how we're controlled. And whatever it is that we believe is controlling us, whatever's behind the fear that we label, then that is what is controlling us, whether it would be the deep state, or a lizard from outer space, or a narcissist, or the devil, or whatever, an entity that someone's thrown at us, a million different things. It's how we experience and process the pain that we are having, and the fear that's caused from, I don't want to have any more of that. I don't want to be victimized anymore. And the quickest way that I have seen people lose their minds to this is to stop short in a story somewhere, whatever the narrative is, to stop and land and never keep going with the possibility that there's always more. There's always more. We don't have the complete answer. How could we? And so when I hear people who lock into one story and say, this is the way it is, and yet they're also saying, with God, all things are possible, that's a very huge thing that many people have heard. And if we really believe that, for the people that don't, I'm not talking about them, but for people who are spouting out of one side of their mouth that with God, all things are possible, then that means that that story may not be correct. That is how I live my life. That's the premise under which I live, is that I don't ever know the complete story, and I don't ever want to know or believe that I know the complete story, because this is an evolutionary process. By the way, if you hear my dog, he is working a bone, big jumbo bone. Bribery while mom goes to school during the day. So anyway, when we stop short somewhere, and we really believe that we've got it all, I don't want to be there, because that locks me down right there, and then my evolution has stopped. I'm not going to do anything except evolve laterally. That's not evolution. That's just spinning and doing more investigation in a dark, deep state of denial, or over here in the white light, which is also a denial, but it's down here somewhere in the subterranean. If we keep on going with it, with God, all things are possible. With the universe, all possibilities exist, and they do. Then, pardon me, my phone is trying to die on me. If that's true, if we believe that, then we have to account for the fact that I may not have the complete story. I may not know everything there is to know. And what do you know? We don't. We do not know everything there is to know. I'm just darn sure of that, because every possibility that's put out there, that at a minimum has a reality tunnel that's fed by people's energy. Now, whether or not, you believe in a devil character, or a reptilian race, or, the deep state, or whatever it is, however it leaks and squeaks in our world, then that is how we're going to perceive that. That is how we're going to be frightened, more than likely. If our biggest fear is financial doom, then boom, here we are with financial doom. If whatever our loss of something that we're highly attached to, that is very oftentimes how that's going to come back and bite us, because it isn't that the universe or God or anything else is punishing us or saying, see, you should have believed us, or you should have believed that story over there. It's that it's all balancing act. It's all mathematical. If you look at it like that, it's all cause and effect. It's karma is cause and effect. How much debt have I racked up over here with very unprincipled, janky, or decisions, and how's that looking over here? It's that humans are very surprised, because we've gotten away with a huge lag time in between our consequences, our actions and our consequences. We've gotten away with a lot of time, a gap, and we don't have that gap in time anymore. We have some immediate turnaround, and a lot of stuff that this is the year of justice in a lot of people's stories, and I would agree with that. However, I don't bring the justice. I'm not bringing the heat. I don't have to, because people will screw themselves down into their own, demise and their own dumb stuff if you just leave them alone to do it. It's when we start meddling and believing that our story is the correct story. And I like to tell people, if that's your story, then it's correct for you. It doesn't work for me, and I'm not threatened by your fear. And I don't want you to be threatened by any fear that I might have, or any fear that you think I'm projecting, because that's the old paradigm. It's the way of controlling someone and controlling a narrative, whether it's the deep state of just denial, or we believe in some deep state that's truly doing all of these horrible things. And what's really sad for many people is that there's an element of truth. There are people who are doing tragic, horrible things. I mean, beyond what even the human mind wants to conceive is possible. What you hear about, what you see of the, news briefs and things of actual people who've gone in and done things that we can verify, that's horrible enough. And so, yes, there are people out there who are deeper into that deep state of ugly, nasty, reptilian, devil, dark, whatever you call that, low vibe, obviously, and soulless, cut off from their source in a huge, huge way. Whatever we believe in is that, then that's it. That's how it's going to squirt, and it does do horrible stuff. Now, does it do that kind of horrible stuff on a global scale that 80%, we're just missing? I'd say we're missing 80% of the truth most of the time, because the truth is in here. And when I hear people talking about things that generate a whole lot of fear and they pass it on, it irritates me, because fear is the biggest way that we can get people to eat right out of the palm of our hand, And I heard someone the other day that I had to just, I can't listen to you anymore, because I can't believe that, really? That she was purporting a story about the Pope, which I'm not Catholic, and I don't have any love lost on any religion. I don't put my loyalty anywhere except in what I consider my spiritual union with divinity, and I don't call that anything in particular, because I don't stop at anyone's story. That's just my way of dealing with 707, my life. But I don't have any disrespect for anybody's principled understanding of their spiritual journey or their religious studies. However, this particular person bashes religion a whole lot, claims to be a spiritualist standing in the light, of course, and it's, to me, just poor judgment to pass on information that you haven't verified or even attempted to. She passed information that the Pope made a speech where someone erroneously took his Italian, because what do you know, the dude's Italian, he's in Vatican City, so he was speaking in Italian, and somebody on TikTok, notorious for factual information, of course, that the Pope was actually giving all of the secrets about, I think the Illuminati, I don't know, I quit listening, because I was like, no, you didn't really do this, and cited the TikTok person, and in her heading said, see, I told you. Okay, so got my attention, because, I stay pretty plugged into the news, from many, many sources, and not your legacy outlets, thanks anyway, and I stay plugged in here to not care about most of it. However, I stay relevant, and when I actually went back and looked it up and researched it, this was a Pope this was a speech that the Pope made from several years ago, depending on which one, she might have been referencing. I know the one that the TikTok guy was referencing seems to be from something that was from like 2021, where someone erroneously, much like the QAnon conspiracy theory that has sucked in a lot of people badly, that cult is based on just bullshit that somebody was playing around. And if we want to take the black pill hard and believe that nobody can be trusted, then cool, then trust yourself and stop reading all this stuff, because the guy was saying that the Pope was giving away secrets, and what this secret meant of his ring or something, and how they're doing this to children, and it's easy to believe, because the Catholic Church has been, in the news, 9/19, quite a bit for some, very unsavory, unpleasant, illegal as stuff. So it's very easy, and we're fear-mongering, and we're elitist, and we're trying to separate I'm better because I'm a light worker, I'm a starseed, I'm a blah, 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 blah. Insert whatever you want to there that justifies my position of superiority over you. Let me tell you how and why. Well, if we could exert that with any authority and be for real, it'd be one thing. But claiming that the Pope is saying something when you don't even speak the language, you can't translate that for yourself, and you're trusting the information that came out on a video that was not on a news outlet. It was on probably TikTok, this saying he's giving away all the deep state secrets and the, what this whole cabal bullshit is, that it's somebody's reality, they believe it. For me, that's just some bullshit that no matter how much truth it might have, how long do you want to land there? Being afraid and worried and see, he's proving our point. Cool, then what are we doing to fix the problem? Are we standing around spreading the conspiracy lie that was debunked, that somebody said, yeah, totally just put that in there just because, QAnon got so much traction and I think this is hilarious. That was the mindset of the people who put up the video disparaging the Pope, and the Pope was actually talking about helping disenfranchised people, helping and assisting 1044 disenfranchised populations, like, I don't know, the homeless, the disabled, things like that. However, it was put on this man, probably the most humane Pope we've had in memorable history at least, that they're now tagging him as having said all kinds of stuff. He seems to be very sensitive to the needs of the LGBTQIA, I believe it is. Don't mean to be disrespectful, but he specifically mentions that. And, to tag someone as having said something that's conspiratorial and you pass it on as if you are, a somebody. I'm a nobody, man. It's okay with me, and I wouldn't tell people something that I didn't go research, and that just smelled so bad. When I heard it, I thought, oh, we've just found the time when you walked yourself right out of my life, and I walked away from you entirely. I mean, I don't know this person, but she has thousands of supporters. That you cannot just blindly say this and have that be healthy and good for any of that population, that collective of people. It's -1. I don't follow or support people who don't do their research. And if we take the black pill and believe that we're sus of every single thing, well, okay, then how do you fix that problem? Go inside then. If we're paranoid and we're afraid and we're certain that there's a boogeyman behind every door and we got to prove it and gather everybody, why? What do we believe in? Do we believe in a source energy that is here and is more powerful than a pope, a ring, an Illuminati, or the 12 families that run the whole earth, or the lizards who are taking over, or the devil who's winning? I mean, what do we really believe? That's what I want to know. And if I saw that person, I don't know her, but if I saw that person, I would say, wow, can you cite a resource on that? Because I'm not sure that I saw that anywhere, ever, on mainstream legacy, probably news, it was there. However, on the mainstream of the alternative sources that I gather information from around the world, I didn't see that. What I saw was a speech by the Pope that was very sensitive to disenfranchised populations, and putting it out there that that's a known thing. That's ignorant, and it's what's being done in the United States, and is causing gaslighting and all kinds of problems in this system. It doesn't work anywhere in the world. However, I only live in the U.S., and I only know about my experience here in the U.S. with bamboozled people who have power in lots of places well above me. However, even as destructive, horrible, and blech as all of that is, I still trust that my source of information and what I believe in is hella stronger and hella able to take care of this. Earth is purging and leaking out, the excess baggage that she has to. It's not a punishment phase. It's not because Mother Earth is angry at us and is gonna, that's punitive and human. And when we try to take our human attributes and assign it to holy places, that really just gets me going hard. And I'm not making a case for or against the Pope, or for or against any one story, other than my story is that I don't have one other than I connect here. And if people freak me out with their dialogue and what they're saying is fear-mongering on any level, we don't have any work to do. I don't have anything I need to say to you, and you definitely don't have anything that you need to say to me. To fly by and keep it going, because I don't want that to land. There's nowhere that fear-mongering or spreading conspiracy theories or outright lies even if we believe them, if they've been debunked, at what point do you say, okay, science needs to take over, or, really get into the logic of, does the whole entire system of millions of people that are in on this conspiracy theory, the earth is flat and here's why? Well, I like to go into my science and my logic and my critical thinking heavy whenever I start hearing that, because it can get very blustery, blowy, cloudy, and full of bullshit, where we might get drawn in. I might get sucked into a, what? And I've done a lot of research into that stuff, and it's based in fear and nothing more. Cults, if you will. And we got cult leaders, quite a few in the US right now, that are running things from afar. No matter what anybody says to me, this is not specifically about, anything more than dark and light. And the biggest darkness we have on the planet is people's unevolved souls, their ignorant ego being in charge. That's what it boils down to, is how important and how attached are you to being right and being in that story and believing that. And where would the fear come of saying, there's a possibility I am not right. There's a possibility that this handbook I'm using is not correct. There's a possibility that the missing books of it might have more information. It's a possibility that we don't have direct quotes from God. It's quite possible that science can answer a whole lot of questions that people are still claiming to be quite baffled about, and apparently are. And psychology, being a branch of science, understands the mind, understands the chemical stuff that goes on, as well as the communication, the dynamics, family systems, things like that. We understand how these things happen. And when we don't understand them, it's because we're not looking for the answer. We're willing to buy the cheap answer because landing on the Bible said so, or the Quran said so, or even the Emerald Tablet said so, or whatever. I don't ever want to land in one place and call it good, because I haven't seen that work. Where I got stagnant somewhere, it came to a wall. And the minute I came to a wall in my thinking and my downloads and discussions with my team of, well, how's that work? It's that, that's where it peels off and it starts going into that particular timeline and that particular story. And do you want to go there? No, I don't want to get drawn into anybody's one story, because it's all unifying into one unified field, if you will. It's all unifying into one measure of the magnetic field, of the vibration. It's all unifying into a higher vibration. So the reason that people are really pushing out all of this stuff is we've got a lot of energy that's just blasting Earth right now. The sun burps are intense. The solar maximum is coming, and we have a lot of bursts coming at us on a fairly consistent basis. And when our magnetosphere is pierced by a plasma ray, for instance, sounds like happy horseshit to people that believe that the earth is flat. And I understand it. However, I also understand science and how those things affect us. How do we think microwaves work and x-rays and things like that? We don't see those. However, we believe them. So maybe open up the mind to believe that the sun and its burping has effects on people and makes them kind of agitated, makes them kind of wacky when the planets move around, when we have celestial bodies doing big things, and the vibration of the planet. Now that's where it gets a little sketch for some. They don't want to believe it. It's too weird sounding. Fine. However, can we land where logic lives and where critical thinking and frontal lobe engagement lives, and stop, lizarding it with the fear? Because what harm do I have in looking at the lizard story? There was no harm in me going there. Okay. There's no harm in me looking at the devil stuff. There's no harm in me studying a lot of ancient texts and Gnostic stuff. The Gnosis is a great thing. There's nothing harmful about that. Why would I have fear that the Pope is going to lay out secrets all of a sudden, and then this deep state is taking over my life? What do I believe in? What do I have faith in? Now, it takes some feet on the ground to execute moves to keep some people from doing certain things. We do need to stop, We can't just say, well, God will take care of it. We have to be the agents. We have to be the feet on the ground to move. However, people just moving out of their fear That is not righteous movement. That's not, calling judgment on somebody and then executing it on our own 1919. That's some bullshit. No, that's what you see happening, and why you see people on a border who are going to die and suffer even more, because we have ignorant people believing very ignorant things that are not very evolved. They have not very much to do with God or spirituality or humanity or any source of spiritual connection. They just say that they do. And just because we say we're connected and we go to church or we go to synagogue or we go, to temple or we go to our yoga studio. Some of the most detrimental people I've ever known were people who were spiritualists that were just spouting stuff and hiding their darkness behind it. However, do not believe that the darkness that you see spitting itself out there saying that they don't deserve that, that's just as dark and nasty. It's a matter of discernment. How can I decide for myself? What's the criteria that I'm going to go with before I start believing some story? And am I willing to land there and call that good? And I would encourage you that now, when things are just hugely, hugely out of balance for most people, a lot of people on the planet, I shouldn't say most because I don't know, a lot of people, most people in my orbit that I see, they're freaking out and they're not understanding this. Some of that is the influence of just solar weather, or space weather rather, and that's real. Okay, but if you don't believe that NASA's real, then you won't believe that space weather that NASA's reporting is real. So, how far do we go down the rabbit hole of conspiratorial thinking and paranoia? And for me personally, I lived a lot of years being paranoid of a lot of stuff and being anxious all the time that had nothing to do with my spirituality. And when I finally jumped into understanding that I need this connection to be just straight source of, look, I'll pray and you give me the answer directly, or tell me where I research it, where I find it, or it's a process of elimination, that it definitely isn't that shit. No, it's not that. And direct influence from the Most High, if you will, or my guides, my team, my angels, whatever you process that to be. But that connection is what speaks to me and does not allow me to stand around for very long being afraid. Why would we be afraid? What are we afraid of? Having legit fear of danger is reserved for that thing back there, that little intuition and lizard brain that goes, wait a minute, fight or flight. That's meant for legit fear, and we don't have that really too much anymore because we've been so tapped out for so many years, living in this anxious state, in this heightened state of gotta, that we've lost it, that everything frightens us, or nothing frightens us because we're so bold. And unfortunately, neither of those extremes is really serviceable, because the truth is that when we're in that very balanced state of, I don't really feel fear on the regular, when I do, then I know I need to know what's happening. I don't need to engage the fear. I certainly don't need to jump in there and say, oh my God, a storm is coming, this is coming, and oh no. That's the worst thing to do. It's to work on, how do I stay fully present in my skin right now without freaking the blip right out? How do I do that? Deal with impending whatever, deal with this emergency, deal with this threat, deal with whatever it is, without losing my bearing, without losing my mind, and keeping it graceful as I keep moving. And what do I believe in? And that's where I'm starting to feel a sense of danger here. What is this? And the more I've cultivated that relationship, the less that I worry about what's going on out here. I still need to be feet moving. However, they're feet moving that are directed by sources much higher than me. And some people, well, if you don't believe in this, then it's not real. Okay, well, I don't live my whole life being terrified that a lizard's coming after me or the devil or whatever. Even if other people do believe in the devil and they're sending the devil my way, could care less. I've seen some weird shit show up in my kitchen, you know what I'm saying? Some weird stuff has happened in my life, and I've had the opportunity in the 5D or the astral lucid dreaming, however you label it. All those labels really get in the way, but I've had those experiences of getting to see how that leaks out and squirts my way when people are angry or upset. Oh, this is some voodoo crap right here? Okay. Oh, this is some devil stuff right here? It's how we perceive that. It's how somebody would send their darkness to us, even if they're just saying hateful things falling out of their mouth. It, will show up in whatever way that is most effective for us to be afraid. And is that a test of the universe? Is that a cruelty of our team? No, that's what we're building by continuing to feed into the system. Unfortunately, our spirit teams, from my experience, 2424, thank you. In my experience, nothing about the ascended realms is unloving or unkind and is testing us to see if we're strong enough, willing, all of this other stuff. It doesn't have to, and it's not human. If we would stop assigning human low vibe attributes to interdimensional beings and higher dimensional beings and ascended masters who they're not human, and even if they ever were, they certainly transcended it and moved on and kept on going and are still here working tirelessly to get the consciousness of, tirelessly for the humans, that working to get the humans here ascended into some higher consciousness. And you got people who are back somewhere in dark ages so deep that it's very sad to see that, because they're terrorizing. Unfortunately, when they gun up heavy in the many ways that they do, they gun up and they terrorize other people who then start converting to what their worst fears are. That, see, it's been confirmed, and the black pill gets swallowed some more, if we even were into the black pill. Some people are heavy into their, denialism and the red and blue pill. Yeah, they're not about it. They're deeply plugged into the matrix and don't want to be unplugged, because they prefer the justification for how they get by with their terrible behavior. They like that more. They like their sense of power. They like their money. They like their 3D attributes out here looking very important. And when we divide and conquer, which is all it is, the ego is a divider and a conqueror. When we're doing that, we're serving the old paradigm. We're serving the matrix, and there's nothing about that that is ascended, even if we say it is. And that's why I stop short with people whose story lands somewhere and doesn't tell me that it's continuing to evolve. One of the New Thought movements that I used to be involved in, I knew somebody from that was a minister and could not wrap her mind around the idea that, your movement went on. There's other ministers that are talking about, star seeds and Lemuria and Atlantis and lost continents and lost civilizations, the Mayans, and your movement, your own movement went on. It's not just trying to do 10% tithe to make sure that you manifest everything you ever wanted to. We're not on that anymore. We went to something else. Did you not get the memo? And that's where it landed for that person. And that's a person that's in the light, a spiritualist, a minister with a New Thought religion. That, yeah, that's not terribly New Thought, that's kind of old thought just dressed up to be New Age, and it's not that. It is not serviceable to try to teach people a workaround so that we can manifest all the 3D stuff that we want, and on top of it, pound the idea that that's what we're doing, and we don't like the Catholics because they're the ones running the, what? We just went into a whole story, and then you have groups of society that are targets. Look around. There's not, too many that haven't been a target so far. And currently the major players, are getting their asses kicked. And it's really got to stop. As far as I'm concerned, it's really got to stop on a personal level. And yet, when I can get above all the fray and the bullshit, then I have to yield and say, there's a greater plan that I don't know. And I know it doesn't land back there somewhere with leaving people deathly afraid of something. What is there to fear? Other than, I got cleanup I need to do here. Might be kind of scary to think about how I'm going to clean up all that messy mess that I created back there with all my karmic, that might be scary, because some of us have done some pretty terrible stuff. And it's all fine. It can be fixed. However, if we're not even trying, then we're going to be nothing but a society full of bumbling around people who are terrified constantly and willing to buy into the next, ride down a golden escalator that's telling us he's Jesus or God or incarnate something. And I find that to be some of the most unsacred, unholy kind of stuff. And I'm not talking about just one person. That's just one personification, that you have this happening everywhere. And when you've got solar maximum coming and, all kinds of celestial activity that's encouraging us to, hey, look within, and people go, whoa, I'm going to look out here for more solutions and jump into conspiracy theories heavy. unfortunate, because what's really being asked for is come in here and get very familiar with your own self. To thine own self be true. Start with you. And, gnosis is a good word. Might, spend some time in developing a story that wasn't burped out and already regurgitated for you. And it's been regurgitated a million times. And I'm not talking, excuse me, about just one. I'm talking about any one story that anyone lands on. I'm going to have Kirsten, please. I'm going to have Kirstens all day long. If you can't answer questions or you feel triggered or whatever, why? Why? I love a good debate right up until the point that it's not a debate and somebody's trying to change my mind. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm trying to say, maybe you want to open your mind and see if some things change for you when you do. And when people feel so threatened that they can't even look at the idea that your own movement has moved on with its thoughts on this. This isn't just a one isolated weirdo with thousands of members in his, congregation, if you will, and he's not alone. When you have somebody within your own field that's breaking out, and visiting those farther reaches of understanding, maybe are you willing and to bristle? Why? What is the fear of opening the mind to, there might be something more? Because I can guarantee you there always is. We're never going to have a complete story because it's constantly evolving above us. So I don't know who that's helpful for. I hope it is helpful for someone, and I hope you enjoy your day, whatever part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because within here, that's where we really truly find that place of respite, that place of safety, that place of, okay, I can believe. It doesn't come just automatically because we get terrified enough one day that we go, oh God, please help us. That's not how it comes. I haven't seen that work one time, not yet. It also does not come for realsy when we're trying to backdoor it with doing some rituals, or I'm going to tithe a certain way, or I'm going to manifest it based on this vision board and all of that. Those are all great tools when they're used with integrity. The tithing thing, not so much. I'm going to jump out on that one. That there's not a way that we legitimately are going to hack spirituality. It requires, unless we're hacking away at our ego, that is the hack. And there's not a lot of people that want to do that, because it requires us going into our own inventory and finding out, why am I bothered by that? Why is that a problem? Why do I believe that? Why don't I believe that? And when we're so suspicious or triggered or right or whatever that we can't even hear another person's opinion, or we're making snap judgments about whole groups of people based on their color or their location or their activity, short of, harming another person. I mean harming another person, not what I think is harming another person. I mean unconsensual stuff. That's it. Other than that, I don't know a person in the world that wants the government or anyone else to be harming them by taking action with denying care to millions of people because we're just that inhumane and cruel. That's where we are in the game. I understand that. It's annoying. As a humanitarian, I find that quite disgusting. However, can't land on that story. Have to keep going here and say, that's right. Thank you, team. Thank you, source. Thank you, God. Thank you to the ascended realms that keep reminding me that there's more to this story, Kate. This isn't it. This just happens to be a survey of what's currently happening. And what it looks like in the future, couldn't tell you. All I know is that it doesn't look like being continually afraid or being continually motored by somebody else's fear. That's just the same paradigm. Even when we dress it up and throw crystals on it and burn candles, or we say things and, we sound like we're really quite righteous and holy, even when, and a lot of times, especially when, because those are people who are drawing in those that want to be doing more. They really are seeking their spiritual development, and they're stopping short in a story that, well, 10% will get you all the money you want and you'll get that yellow, convertible or whatever it is. And not really getting to the heart of the age of Aquarius isn't about that. It's about helping one another, humanitarian aid. It's about walking each other home. And we're not all walking each other to each individual house. However, we're all moving to the same neighborhood because we all live on this planet, and she's going. And if we want to be the, the fleas on her that we are, then we ride with her or we leave this experience. I mean, there aren't too many options. And as we continue to spin around and do this and continue to corkscrew up into the higher and higher and higher realms as she continues to raise her vibration, and we do also, especially with all the assistance from outer space that's coming and all the interdimensional and higher dimensional beings that are here. We have a lot of support that's bringing in that age of Aquarius, and this is an ugly time that it's very easy to get sucked into believing that it isn't happening, it isn't coming, and that it isn't true. Because what? We're being told that aliens are lizards and they're here to eat us or kill us or probe us or do something horrible. Is that true? For someone it is. For at least one somebody, and a whole bunch more that are willing to believe it. There is a grain of truth everywhere, and there's a whole lot of bullshit too. So discerning which one is which, I like to be on the other side of that upside down world stuff, where most of what I'm hearing and seeing, observing is the absolute truth, whether it's pretty or not. And stop listening to anybody else's interpretation of what that is. So anyway, as I said, I hope you have a beautiful day, whatever part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine. It's so, 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 so fine. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye, friends.